This is Raphinha.
Now it's Raphinha.
What a goal.
What a take. What a finish.
This is Ronaldinho.
El segundo del Barça marcó Ronaldinho.
This is Raphinha.
Backpedaling. Oh, 3-1.
And this is Ronaldinho again.
Ronaldinho Tropiano dispara y gol.
Brazilians have always had a special connection with Barcelona. From Romario to Rivaldo to R9, then to Ronaldinho and Neymar, Barcelona has always had top Brazilian players. If you want to get an attacker that can win you games on his own, someone who gets people off their seat, someone who smiles while destroying the enemy, you go to Brazil.
He's a player that can do most things you want from a front player, wide player, can run with the ball, he can score goals, he's got a great shot on him.
Every year, Barca seemed to be going on a roller coaster ride. One season they were lifting silverware, the next one going trophyless. Meanwhile, their rivals kept adding talent to their squad. But with Raphinha leading the line as the captain and Flick as the manager, Barca seemed to be back in the right direction. So how exactly did Raphinha go from someone that the fans wanted sold to becoming one of the very best players in the squad? Fast, good on the ball, with an unlimited work rate, Raphinha is any manager's dream player. He doesn't stop running. The way he has elevated his game under Flick has been tremendous. Being clinical in front of goal was a criticism that he had in the beginning of his Barca career, but that's completely in the past now. A Brazilian performing for Barca on the biggest stage in Europe, scoring a hat-trick. This is football heritage.
Потрясающая атака. И снова Ривалдо. 3 гола Ривалдо. Фантастический.
Neymar. It's Neymar. Well, it's helped in by Matthews, but he will claim a hat-trick.
His speed and movement is essential to Barca's direct football. It's so nice for players like Yamal and Pedri to have a player like Raphinha to send through balls to. Honestly, people forget, but Raphinha was fantastic under Xavi in the 2024 season as well. He got 10 goals and 13 assists while playing in an inconsistent Barca side while battling injuries all season. In fact, against PSG, he was the best player on the pitch. So why is it that despite having multiple good seasons, he still flies under the radar? I mean, there were certain Barca fans that had already put Nico Williams' name on the number 11 jersey before the season had even started. I think a big part of it is the fact that his play style is so different from the previous great Brazilians that have played for Barca. You look at Ronaldinho, he played with flair. His best quality was his dribbling. He embarrassed defenders. Raphinha isn't the same type of dribbler as him. He beats his player no problem, but the best part of his game comes from his work rate and directness. He isn't trying to wow you with skill moves. He's trying to be as efficient as possible. Stereotypes lead us to believe that Brazilian players are traditionally high-skilled individuals who have no commitment on the defensive end. I mean, the guy created 44 chances in his first 13 games. That's the most in Europe's top 5 leagues. He's performing as good as anyone else in the world, but when it comes to Barca praise, his name is never one of the first on the list. Well, a part of that is not only does he not play like a traditional Brazilian, his journey to Barcelona is also very different from the previous Brazilians who have played for the club. You look at guys like Ronaldinho and Neymar, they joined Barca from big clubs with the label of already being the next big thing. Dino was seen as a rising talent at PSG, and Neymar, well, we all know how highly Neymar was seen at Santos. But Raphinha, he was coming from Leeds, a club that was fighting for survival, not for glory. His name was still known because he had played in the Premier League, picking up 11 goals and 3 assists in his last season at Leeds as the best player, but he was far from a household name. He was known more for his knee walking around the stadium than for his actual talent on the pitch. Leeds fans were trying to tell people at the time that Raphinha is crazy. I mean, look at his goal against Everton that was nominated for Goal of the Month. But because he wasn't playing for some top team or putting up some crazy statistics, nobody really cared that much.
I don't know enough about Raphinha. I don't watch him as much as you lot do, so it's difficult for me to make a judgment call.
Sure, some people still knew about him from his time in France and Portugal, but again, this was not a household name that you expect from a Brazilian who ends up at Barcelona. In February of 2016, he had signed for Vitória Guimarães after being scouted by Deco. First season, he was adjusting to the league, so he only got 4 goals and 7 assists. But he did feature 41 times across all competitions. In fact, his talent was visible as he won the Vitória Guimarães Breakthrough Player of the Year in 2017. The next season, he took his game to another level, a pattern that we've seen from him at Barca as well. The first season, usually he's adjusting to the league and the new setup and the new teammates and coaches. Then the next season, he really elevates his game. He got 18 goals and 6 assists, showing that he was one of the best talents in Portugal. In fact, his performances were so good that Sporting came calling. He actually only spent 1 season playing for Sporting, getting 7 goals and 5 assists, with the highlight of his season being him scoring his penalty against Porto as Sporting became Portuguese Cup champions. After a successful stint in Portugal, he signed for Rennes for 21 million euros, the club's record signing at the time. And look who one of his teammates was at Rennes. Raphinha played well in France, but again, nothing to really jump out at you. Nothing to suggest that he would be some kind of superstar. Like when Ronaldinho was playing in France, the whole world knew about him. He literally got a standing ovation for his performance in the Coupe de France against Bordeaux. Not to mention, during his announcement at Barca, Laporta said that Dino was one of the 3 best players in the world, along with Thierry Henry and David Beckham. But Raphinha, well, he didn't go from Ligue 1 directly to Barca. He instead went to Leeds, a club that was just trying to survive in the Premier League. In fact, the fee that Leeds paid for him was slightly less than what Rennes had paid for him. When Barca signed Raphinha, there was a little bit more hype around his name. After all, they did pay £50 million for him during a time where the club wasn't in the best financial state. But the hype for his arrival was nothing compared to what we've seen from previous Brazilians who have signed for the club.
If you're gonna indeed invest money, then I just don't see why you're investing money in similar players.
In that first season though, he got 10 goals and 12 assists as he helped Barcelona become La Liga champions. I feel like most of his good performances though were overshadowed by the fact that at the time, Dembele was seen as the better player. There was actually a lot of debate at the time about which one of them should be the starting right winger.
Do those two play together then, Raphinha and Dembele? How does that work?
That's a good question. It's a really good question.
Luckily, and we can thank Xavi for this, Raphinha's best position was found. Him playing left wing. You see, with Dembele and later Yamal, that ended up being the best spot for the Brazilian. Obviously, he preferred to be on the right cutting it onto his left foot, but at least this way, he would remain a regular in the starting 11. He ended up being a beast in that position, especially in the Champions League. He got 2 assists against Napoli in the second leg of the round of 16, and of course, that performance against PSG. Flick was definitely watching these games and he saw Raphinha's potential, because he's profiled him better than any other manager before. Raphinha's best qualities are his movement and his speed. Playing him through the middle and as a runner on the left wing has gotten the most out of him. Just look at how many goals he has scored as a result of being the outlet to one of Yamal's passes. He offers so much verticality, which is perfect for the way that Flick wants to play. He obviously doesn't have the talent of Ronaldinho or R9 or Neymar, but he covers more ground than all of those guys combined. One thing I will say though that is similar to Dino and Raphinha, besides both of their smiles, is the timing of their transfers. You see, Dino came at a time where Barca really needed help. Real Madrid were signing their original Galacticos, and under Laporta, who was newly appointed at the time, Barca were just trying to keep up. In fact, in Dino's first season, when he ended up getting injured halfway through the campaign, Barca ended up being 12th for some period. Then when he returned, he was able to guide them to a second place finish. Raphinha is experiencing something similar in the sense that Barca can't spend that much because of La Liga's regulations. Meanwhile, they're going up against Madrid, who are signing Galactico after Galactico. First they signed Bellingham, then Mbappe. Everyone thought that it would be impossible for Barca to compete since Madrid added arguably the best player in the world to a team that had just won the double. But Raphinha is showing that nobody at Barca is scared of the Galacticos. As the captain, he's leading by example. I actually believe Raphinha's intensity comes from the fact that he has been so underappreciated throughout his entire career. He's never been handed anything, so he always plays with a point to prove, a chip on his shoulder. You can see it in his performances, and he's even talked about it. He is fueled by the people that wanted Nico Williams instead of him, the fans who wanted him sold. Any doubt over him though has quickly been silenced. He isn't Ronaldinho, but he sure has the same smile as he destroys the enemy. Raphinha isn't the only player to benefit from Flick's arrival. To see just how much this Barcelona team has changed, you have to check out this video right here.